Happy Sunday, everybody. Steve here. So I've got some thoughts on wisdom this morning. Thinking about that. It's a funny story that I always love this. The difference between intelligence and wisdom. Intelligence is knowing that a tomato is actually a fruit. And wisdom is knowing that you don't put tomatoes in fruit salad. So I wanted to talk today. I was reading I'm in Matthew right now, reading through the book of Matthew, and I was reading Matthew 11, and Jesus had just gotten through talking about unrepentant towns. He was sending the disciples out, he had just got through. John's disciples had come and asked, and some people were saying, well, you're not like John and his disciples, and you guys are different, and he was talking about unrepentant towns. And then he goes into talking about, in verse 25, 26 of Matthew 11, it says, at that time Jesus said, I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned, and revealed them to the little children. Yes, Father, for this is what you were pleased to do. And I was just always amazed that you had all of these Pharisees and Sadducees and all these learned men at the time, scholars of scriptures, and the Bible makes a clear distinction when they talk about Jesus teaching and how he would go in and teach, and people were amazed at this carpenter's son who spoke with such authority and with such knowledge of scriptures and everything else. And of course, he obviously he was so full of the Spirit of the God. And then after the disciples afterwards, after Jesus went back up to heaven, and the Spirit came on them, and they started teaching out into the world. Same thing. And I was thinking about this world a lot of times, and things that people that we imagine are so wise, and that we and us too. I mean, just as a people, I'm a big fan of history, looking back, and the things that we know now. Now we think we're so smart that the things that we think we know right now about the way things are, and we kind of look back, a few years ago, it's funny because we kind of look back and we kind of, people didn't know anything. What are they going to say about us 20 years from now, 30 years from now? It's going to be, will it be the same thing? And it just, and generation after generation after generation, the current generation seems to look back on the past and go, well, we're so much more learned now. We know these things. But the point is that at the time, you think you got it. You think you got the answers. And like for example, just think about what we knew 50 years ago. And like this picture I'm going to put up right here, and hopefully this will work, and I'll be talking over top of it. But this is an asbestos commercial, an advertisement in a periodical or whatever for the benefits of asbestos, which we know now it gets particleized and it gets in your lungs, and man, it's going to mess you up. You have mesothelioma and all of that. But this is like an advertisement for a little kid's toddler outfit impregnated with asbestos, and I just watched. I think it's funny if you look down in one of the comments there, it's about no more cigarette burns. Just like, I guess back in the day, people smoked and dropped cigarette ashes on their kids as they were holding them. I just thought that was kind of funny. So, and so coming back now, how they knew. I mean, this asbestos It's not hard. Google it and go images, Google images, and go vintage asbestos commercials or advertisements. And you'll see them. I mean, all the benefits that were touted for asbestos, which we know now it's pretty carcinogenic. But at the time, we knew, you know. And another one that's pretty funny too that I'll put up here is cigarettes. You know, 70 years ago, 80 years ago, doctors, they were able to find doctors to tout the health benefits of cigarettes. And, you know, the big one was, well, you know, unless you want to, you know, be overweight and smoke and you're going to be all healthy running, you know, jumping hurdles like this guy in this picture. And I remember seeing one time, and it talked about, you know, ladies, pregnant ladies, you know, smoking, you know, keeps that baby a little smaller so it's easier to deliver. It's not, you don't have one of those big 9-pound babies, you know, delivering. They're smaller and it's easier. Like that's a health benefit or something. So, but they knew. I mean, they knew. And so I just, and I think about that a lot. And I mean, the things that we know today, that we absolutely know. And I don't want to get into all the conspiracy stuff or whatever, or you know, I'm sure some people are going to put comments about, you know, this or that. You know, I have my own thoughts about it, about what's going on now. But like, healthy skepticism, I think, is a good thing. And I think you know, you look at stuff that people start getting worked up about and excited about. I think it's not doubting or anything else, but it is healthy, I think, to take a half a step back and look at what's going on. And usually what I've found in my 53 years on this earth is that when a mass of people are moving in a direction and they're all energetic and fired up about it, that's the time when you need to be a little bit nervous, because usually there's people around the edges that are droving people along that have an interest in it. So I'm not saying all the time, I'm not saying whatever, I'm just saying always take a half a step back, go, And that's my rule of thumb. But wisdom, and I think a lot of the times, you know, when Jesus, getting back to the verse there where Jesus is talking and thanking God for that he's revealed it to, not to the wise and learned, but to the little children. And I've talked about this before, but I think, you know, why he says little children, it's the heart, I think. It's the heart that's there. That's what God looks at, and the Bible talks about that. God looks at the heart, he examines the heart, he sees our heart, and when the heart is willing to learn and willing to listen, he can work with that. He can talk with you and teach you and show you. So I mean, just think about that. I mean, if you're the top of the field in your particular field of study, if you're at the tippity top, you're the guy or the gal. You are the numero uno in this particular thing. How open do you think you are to learning about that? Because I mean, most people think they have things figured out. And if you think you got it figured out, how open to you are you learning more or something different? Or that's just something to think about. And I always used to talk to my kids about that. And when I taught in the high school, I talk about this. When you stop learning, you start dying. And I also, you know, coached a couple of my boys playing baseball. And I always used to talk to them about that. I mean, is be coachable when you're a player. Be willing to learn. Always be willing to learn. Always be willing to listen and learn. That's wisdom in that, I think. So, and it shows an open heart that you're willing. And here's the funny thing is that coaches love that. And so, so with that is also a part, an adjunct, an additional part to be easy to love. And that's, I tell the kids that, and I know I've said it in here plenty of times in these devotions, be easy to love, that's the secret to life, to getting along to working with other people, to being married, to work, to relationships, to neighbors, is be easy to love, be willing, and that all of that is that open heart, that willingness to listen and to learn and to be wise. So that's, I think, that's true wisdom, is to have that heart like a child, to be willing to learn and to be taught. And if you really want a relationship with God and want to learn from God, that your heart will be open to that, to hearing what the Lord has to say, and through parables and all the things Jesus. I think that's what Jesus was getting at. That's my impression. So I hope this was a blessing for you, and I hope you have a great Sunday, and we'll see you next time.